Back on the Boulevard, Tuesday, March 28th. As always, here to prove to you there is no such thing as football season. The rebirth of Monday Night Football is why we come to you on a Tuesday. But let me tell you, 100 times out of 100, I'd rather watch my team ransack the Roughnecks than talk to this guy. The producer, director, and owner of the humble abode we call Studio Z, Chris Zook, joining us in his Tuesday green, looking like he's about to play 9 holes.
What's up, baby?
Zook,
Seattle.
4 wins.
Let's go.
He goes from having a plunger on his head to now 4 straight wins. Seattle right in the playoff hunt. But I do have to say, Zook, you and your producer brain over there, Monday night bought you 24 hours until showtime. So we're here at Studio Z watching the game together last night.
Yep.
And all that does for you is gives you more time to think about, what can I do with the show? What toys can I buy? So, Zook's scrolling on Amazon. I am painfully watching the DC Defenders struggle through the first quarter.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's about 17-8, right? Zook looks up from his phone and he goes, they're not even playing well and they're winning. I can't have anything from you. DC could go 30-0 the first 3 years, and you'd look for the negatives.
I'm just saying, at that point, they weren't playing well.
But you had to reiterate that to me.
See, you've watched Seattle.
I'm nothing but positive.
You've watched Seattle
play.
with me, and...
Oh, you're going to get some tonight. I have some thoughts on the Seattle Sea Dragons.
I have to listen to you all the time, so...
All right, take camera 1.
The one time.
On tonight's show, listen. I called this the game of the year coming in. It lived up on my side between Houston and DC. I'm not sure about you guys. I know DC was banged up at the beginning of the season. Now Houston bit by the injury bug here in the middle of the season. I mean, they didn't have their starting left tackle. Best pass rusher was out. Starting safety was out. The starting D tackle Zook tossed for a nut tap. It's okay, Houston fans. We're going to see this again in the XFL championship, and nobody's going to sit out the XFL title game. In the wise words of Jeff Brom, is this or is this not the XFL? And do I or do I not have a pulse? So all those guys going to be healthy by May 13th. We're going to unpack week 6 for you. Seattle, St. Louis, San Antonio, DC, the winners. Brahma's pulling the upset, and not just that, they got Kyle Sloter fired from his job, making the XFL South playoff race more disgusting a week at a time. The San Antonio Brahmas, we'll get into that one. Kurt Bankert now on the Brahmas. Is he going to the playoffs this year? Is that the script for Kurt Bankert to come in week 6 and make a playoff run? Well, we have a new power poll. That one is going to write itself. You guys can't argue with me this week. And we'll recap our best bets. We were in the green yet again. Take a glance at our week 7 lines. If you like Springball Boulevard, we are on episode 12. Make sure to drop us a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Can't do these forever, guys. Only get so many more of them. It's winding down. We only have 3 more weeks of regular season games in the playoffs and a championship game, which is sad to say. It's been a fun journey, but subscribe to the channel. Our PS5 giveaway. Congratulations to the 1 or 2 of you that got it. Another tough week. I could not complete the 4 for 4. Zook could not complete the 4 for 4, so you guys may be a little better than us this week. Congratulations. We'll have another one of those up for you on Thursday night. As always, let's take a look at these XFL standings. DC clearing away at the top, 6-0 in the North Division. 2-game lead on the St. Louis Battlehawks. They also hold the tiebreaker. Seattle 4-2 as well, coming off their 4th straight win. Vegas not able to pull that upset. They fall to 1-5. Over in the South Side, in the Lone Star State plus Orlando, Houston has taken 2 straight losses. They are still in first place with an Arlington loss. San Antonio 2-4, and the Orlando Guardians, although they probably played their best game of the season, they are 0-6. And let's actually get right into that one. The Seattle Sea Dragons are the worst number 1 offense in the history of football, and I'm going to tell you why tonight. I have a pretty good analogy here. I don't know if any of you have seen that movie with Michael Keaton about McDonald's. It's called The Founder. Great movie. I'm not sure what platform it's on. You can go check that out. If you've seen that movie, we open up and you see pure efficiency, right? McDonald's from day one. This is the model. This is fast food, the birth of it. The McDonald's brothers getting together on the tennis court. They draw with chalk, the blueprints, the plays, everything, how this model is going to run. Make McDonald's perfect, right? June Jones is that. He is the beginning, the origin, the scheme of all this, right? And then we fast forward to reality all these years later. 2023 McDonald's. Well, sometimes you go and you don't even get a patty in between your sesame seed buns. So how is that? That a scheme, a model, a system could be so perfect, yet it just can't be executed. I got to take another lap around the drive-thru because I don't have my patty in my buns. I get stuck behind 19 cars in the drive-thru. Now the ice cream machine's down. This is what I liken Seattle making a complete mess of my best bet to. Yes, they won the game, but I did not cover 9.5, and I'm not happy with the Seattle Sea Dragons about it. You had a Thursday game last week, so you didn't have to play for 9 days. You end up down at halftime against Orlando. So to throw that dollar menu hot fudge sundae cherry on top of this whole thing, Orlando kind of beat themselves. I'll be the one to say it. They had inept punt and kickoff coverage. You had Kelvin McKnight, credit him, Seattle returner, 204 yards. That's what, 27 more than Ben DiNucci had passing? And that's coming from me. I said he was going to go for 350 and 4 touchdowns. They had a punt blocked. Seattle set up on the 5-yard line. But this red zone efficiency is why I don't think this team is going to sniff an XFL title this year. It started week 1 with DiNucci fumbling the ball, literally fumbled a win away on the 1-yard line. He doesn't have a clue on how to throw the ball away. He keeps throwing into coverage and forcing it. He could have had 5 interceptions in this game. I did. I went full stat geek mode researching this one. And yes, Zook, before you stop me, this whole segment is me bitching about Seattle. The Sea Dragons, 25 red zone trips, 11 touchdowns, 8 field goals, 6 turnovers. So less than half the trips they cashed in for 6. For contrast, DC, 2 less trips to the red zone, 2 more touchdowns, 4 less turnovers. And that's the difference between being unbeaten and being 4-2. The difference between a title team and a number 1 offense. Doesn't always work out that way. NFL, college, you name it. The defenses, the teams with the great defenses usually win championships. You have to have a balanced offense. And this Seattle team just can't score the football. They can't get 6. So a quick thought on Orlando here while I'm on the subject of this game. Clearly their best game in 2 of 3 facets, offensively, defensively. Special teams, a complete disaster. Offense and defense look good. Even Jose Borregales, he did drill one from 50, and somehow their special teams was still awful enough for me to say that. Quentin Dormady probably going to start the rest of the season. Had another solid game. Again, Orlando, look at the stats. Outgaining Seattle by at least 100 yards here. Shane Matthews called a pretty solid game. He was featured in the broadcast. Guys, Seattle's roster completely loaded. On paper, probably the best in the league. And Ben DiNucci knows it. He went in his post-game interview and said, we just have better players. And he's right. They do. This is a great roster. But they got to put it together. They can't be sleepwalking through games like this. This game should have been 52-20 if they were able to cash in on the red zone opportunities they had. Remember, Luis Perez went off against Orlando. There's no reason Ben DiNucci shouldn't have. I'll say one more thing. If Seattle was a $100 bill, if you handed it to me, I'm using that marker, the counterfeit, because I'm making sure that this is a real team. I don't know yet. I got to mark it. I got to mark the bill. I got to look at it in the light, and I got to see if this is real, because I don't know. We're going to find out. But that's all I got on the Seattle Sea Dragons. I don't think I'm laying points with them again. Different story out in Las Vegas. If you would have asked me which team would be closer to pulling the upset, Vegas or Orlando, I would have confidently said the Vegas Vipers. But the inconsistency of Luis Perez, who is now an Arlington Renegade. How about that, Zook? Trading him away. It's weird, right? Because he threw 2 pick sixes against Arlington to lose this league. Listen, Luis Perez, it is what he is. Vegas defense doesn't help him out. They are not good in the secondary. And St. Louis was missing half of their starting secondary. So I really didn't know where to go with this one. A lot of you were telling me it was a trap game. Well, that wasn't the case because the first 7 drives for the Vegas Vipers went like this: punt, 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 pick, pick, turnover on downs. So was it really Dwayne Taylor? Was he really the issue here for the Vegas Vipers? No. And I think through 6 games, we realize that not one single finger can be pointed in one direction. This is an organizational failure this season. And I think it started with how they chose to put together their roster, which was a group effort, right? You had a lot of weird choices. They wanted to get proven vets. They took guys in their late 20s, early 30s, probably the oldest team in the league, guys who have made it into NFL box scores, right, and are a little out of their prime. The Vic Beasleys, the Geronimo Allisons, Martavis Bryant, Brett Hundley, who's now going to quarterback this team the rest of the season. It didn't work. I think there's times where you simply can't just out-athlete other teams. You still have to have scheme and coaching. On the other side, A.J. McCarron lost communication with his offensive coordinator, and we found out he was actually getting the defensive calls. So what is going on here? We are 6 weeks into the XFL season, and we still have mixed signals coming in. There has to be something to get this figured out. I know it's tough. It's year 1. But A.J. McCarron getting the defensive calls, he said on the sideline, he admitted it. He said, I'm hearing player check in my helmet. But it's kind of a disadvantage for A.J. not to be able to hear Bruce Gradkowski. But he's out there calling his own offense. He's confident enough to do so. We're going to get to Jordan Ta'amu in a second, but I think A.J. McCarron is the MVP frontrunner right now. 23 of 29, 236, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Tossed his league-leading 14th touchdown of the season to who else but Darius Shepard. He was the winner of our Ultimate Game Changer Award, and for my money, slowly becoming that top target in the St. Louis offense here down the stretch. Here's the rest of the slate for St. Louis. Wanted to go over this. They're at Houston week 7, 3-point dogs. That's a big one because the team that they're racing into the second place in the North with, Seattle, has to host DC week 8. Then those two will get together in week 9. So that's going to be tricky. St. Louis going to Houston, Seattle hosting DC. 2 huge games for those teams in the North race before they meet each other. Do they both lose? Do they both win? Does one lose, one win? It's going to decide a lot. So we'll get to that more in the power poll later, but back to takeaways from this one. Brian Hill, 13 carries, 62 yards, 4 catches, 29 yards, just been a solid weapon. You see the Vegas offense there. We highlighted it, just not up to par here. Their pass defense out there in Sin City continues to be a major weakness. I know they got Mo Smith back off the IR. He had a big sack of his former teammate, A.J. McCarron. Also led the team in tackles, but guys in this St. Louis offense, and really any offense that has faced Vegas, are just getting open. We saw it. I mean, they gave up 30, 32, 32, and 29 the last 4 weeks of the season. But they do have some bright spots. We know Peta is going to get back to the NFL soon enough. 2 more sacks, 5 on the year for him, second in the league. One thing the St. Louis Battlehawks have going for them is they don't play down to their competition. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is an issue I think Seattle has had. Look at the Seattle-Vegas game. Very close. Decided in the last few minutes. Then look at the St. Louis-Vegas game. Different story. So without even looking at the week 2 head-to-head, which is very important, I know St. Louis squeaked that one out. It was a very close game, and it will be again when they play in week 9. You can kind of gauge here who would be favored on a neutral field if these 2 teams played today. St. Louis. Anthony Beck's squad goes back to their ways of not turning the ball over. And I like the momentum. They bounce back well off the DC losses. Now heading into Houston as a dog. I think they're a pretty safe bet. We'll look at early lines a little bit later in the show. Those were our 2 Saturday games. Again, 2 more games to get to. make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and check it out on our YouTube channel. Speaking of that, we got to talk to a really special guest, the XFL expert, Mike Ryan of the Le Batard Show. That was fun. We had all kind of questions coming in from you guys for that one. Wanted to make sure we answered a lot of those. And Mike, big XFL fan, loves the daily fantasy aspect of it. And we talked about everything XFL. So go check that out on the channel. And much less interesting, we have man-to-man with Mikey Manziel. But where did Mike head this week? Find out next, and we'll be back on Springball Boulevard.
I'm Mikey Manziel, and this is Man to Man. Now, I know you guys missed me last week on my actual segment, Vegas one, so Matt took me off and he made me do something else. But, change of scenery. I don't know if Zook wants to tell you or not.
I do. Where are you at? Studio Z. Just want to make sure. Where are you at? Studio Z. You ain't in Vegas anymore, baby.
Yeah, I lost a lot of bets, huh, Zook?
Speaking of Vegas, how they doing?
Yeah, you know what? Let's get on to the first game. We're gonna go with Seattle here. They're playing the Guardians. 0-5. Do they get their first win this week? Zook, let's go to that first play. We have Ben DiNucci on a 2nd and 4 in plus territory here. You're thinking deep shot. Ben DiNucci saying, "No, man, I'm slinging this thing with my legs." He runs down the field 20 yards. Perfect play call. You think he's going to slide. He wants to get hurt, I think. He wants a settlement check from the XFL. Who knows? He gets 20 yards here. It's going to go here. June Jones thinking, 45 years ago, I have that same power in my legs. No, you don't. Sorry about that. But same play here. Bird's eye view. What he's looking at here is there is no linebacker in the middle of the field. They're only rushing 4. What an absolute time to call this play. 55, could have went down the field a little quicker. He may have gotten a few more yards, but Ben DiNucci takes a big hit. But this first half, Ben DiNucci was really off the mark, and he was making some questionable throws here. This is the red zone. You're thinking, hey, let's take some points here. No, Ben DiNucci says, hey, I'm trying to make something happen. No, that's a pick in the red zone. He's been having a lot of costly turnovers. Luckily, his defense and his running back have been bailing him out a ton. They've been really taking away Pearson in the first half. You'll see here, he backpedals. He's got good protection. He tries to, make something happen here, and he just unfortunately throws it to the other team, which that's not a good thing. I don't know if you know that or not. And here we are. I mean, these are some throws during the game where he really was off the mark. Could have been a pick 6 here. This was actually a really good throw. Just a big drop, and this could have been another pick. I mean, there could have been a lot more picks for him in the first half. But as we all know, second half, Ben DiNucci's a different monster. Zook, if you could pause this right here. Pearson was really bottled up in the first half, but they kind of utilized what I thought they would do if this would ever happen during the year. As this play develops here, you'll see they're really pushing on these backers and that backside safety. Pearson runs an in route here, and that seam just wides. Truck lane, easy throw, pitch and catch for Ben DiNucci. Number 3, Pearson really opened that up. He's been a star all year, as we mentioned last week. We're going to go into this 2-point play after this, but Ben DiNucci in the second half, I will tell you what, he was a different human being, different ball player. Here we are, the 2-point play. Ben DiNucci just making time. He's getting bushed. Boom. Sidearm pass, and there he is. Mr. Pearson himself. He gives them the silent, hey, relax. I'm still here. I am still here. Ben DiNucci and the Sea Dragons prevail. Let's go on to that second game, Zook. We have my Vegas Vipers versus the Battlehawks. And what do you know? A touchdown right off the bat. A.J. McCarron to Darius Shepard. What can you say? Best quarterback in the XFL. But It's just going to keep running, and it's just going to be a dagger in my heart. Another dot by A.J. McCarron. And you know what? I did ask him, and I sent him an apology for talking about his wife so much, but it just doesn't matter. He doesn't care. Vegas' best play of the day, folks, right here. We have a 300-pound lineman thinking he has a freaking touchdown. But guess what? He sends a stiff arm, and he's running, and he is going as fast as he can, I think. That's first gear for some. He's in fifth. He gets to the end zone. The coach is livid. He knows he just lost his D tackle the rest of the game. PD light on the board. They already knew what was going on. Yeah. Cramps and an IV. He was out for the rest of the game. Now we got our third game. And this was actually a barn burner defensively, if you ask me. This first play here, this formation, Zook, when it comes back around, if you could pause it, they should have stayed in this. It was working for them. They have a bunch, which what happens when you're playing a team that runs man a lot, and this is a soft man coverage, as you can see. They're off. They're kind of adjusting to see what route tree they're running. But here they run soft man, and they run this. It's like a stalk route, they call it, or a pause route is what we called it in school. It's where you see what your guy's running, and you stalk them, and you run in, or you run out, depending on what leverage you're in. Here, the guy was on real soft outside, man. The safety just wasn't ready to come up. And here's our guys. Look, if you can pause this and keep this there. Our man, Ben Kurt. Green Bay. He was a fan favorite. He has one of the most memorable plays in Green Bay history. The knee job. That's what we called it. The knee job. He still has the pants. I watch his live streams. Huge fan. I'm also 1-0 against him. He does this thing in San Antonio. You got to get on this. It's so much fun. He'll come out and throw to fans, but he doesn't throw it slow. He will zing this thing at you. I caught it with one hand, eyes closed, in the freezing cold up in the tundra of Lambeau Field. I'm just saying 1-0. If I ever get back down there, Curdy, we got to try it again in the heat of San Antonio. I'm sure you're loving it down there. I'm happy that you're back. Let's get back to this play, though, Zook. Here we go. Here's a 3rd and 2. This play was a good timing route to his big tight end. This is a first down play. You're not trying to get anything more. The tight end really dropped this. A lot of people are saying, oh, no, this was a hospital ball. No, this is a ball you catch, you get down, you catch the first down, and you fight to play another down. Here, as you'll watch, I don't know if the tight end wasn't used to slinging the pill that hard. Kurt really put it in there. This is a ball you got to come down with for your team. The only reason he got hit is because he double clutch, tried to catch it again. He catches that, he falls down. That's a 7-yard gain and a first down for them. But anyway, it's good to see Kurt back in the league. But Arlington, what are you doing? What are you doing? Zook, if you can run this play, I want to explain what happens here. We'll let it run through first. D-end makes an absolutely dog of a play, causes a strip sack. This is the only touchdown of the game. Offenses, it was a barn burner for them. Who could get the least amount of yards? The defense, I believe, on this play got more yards than total offense in the first half. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but I don't know. But anyway, we're going to get back to this bird's eye view, and I'll show you exactly what happened here. Bob Stoops has no idea, but at this mesh point here, you'll see the DN played a trick on the quarterback. Right here, he should have handed that off. There was just green grass. He would have been running for days, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Arlington may have some changes coming up. I don't know. But Hines Ward was looking good. He might be back in the NFL. Could be the XFL. Could be the CFL. I'm pretty sure there's a Mexican league too. He may be down there. He is looking good. He may have a little bit of extra weight for him, but he was a good blocker. Tight end, maybe right tackle. But anyway, again, I'm Mikey Manziel, and this is Man to Man.
So, him being here now, Zook, is this a permanent arrangement? This is new, huh? I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Are you charging rent?
Not yet. He's down quite a bit, so I want to give him a couple week break, and then we'll get right into charging him for sure.
I just go back to the shitty studio comment. Now look how the tables have turned for Mikey Manziel using our studio as his home for man-to-man. Oh, Mikey. And of course, he couldn't give me any credit either. You don't give me any credit. Mike gives me no credit for DC. Doesn't even put the game in the segment. Thanks a lot, Mike. Really, really appreciate that. I think it's a little payback for all the hell we put him through this year. Man-to-man with Mikey Manziel, another glorious episode. Let's get into this one, as much as I'm reluctant and hesitant to talk about it, because the San Antonio Brahmas may as well be the Iowa Hawkeyes of the XFL. And if you were tuning into the league for the first time on ABC, you might say, oh, yeah, just a color comparison, right? They got the black and yellow. Also true, but this one runs deeper than just those black and gold uniforms, because the Brahmas, much like Iowa, just won with 51 passing yards and 17% on third down conversions. In the other game they won this season, which was in Orlando week 2, they had 144 passing yards and were 33% on third down. So all on up to it, guys. If you follow me on Twitter, every now and then I'll add a best bet live. And right before kick, I bought Arlington -3. I've made a mess of my balance with this football team. And this is how toxic of a gambler I've become. I literally sat here and coined the term Arlington Renegades 2 weeks ago. Then last week, they won as an underdog in San Antonio. That was their first time covering the spread. So I decided, they're off the schneid. Arlington, we're back. We covered. We won outright as a dog. Of course, I didn't bet them in week 5. I bet them in week 6. And somehow forgot they were the Renegades. The San Antonio Brahmas were missing QB1, QB2, RB1, 2 starting wide receivers, and an offensive lineman, which they haven't had the same 5 up front all season with injuries. You had Kurt Bankert, who was building sandcastles in Florida 48 hours before game time, out there playing. Jawan Pass, who was inactive all season, getting the start. How do you not fade the Brahmas in this spot? It's inexplicable to me. And watching Arlington's offense throughout this game, it was like watching C-SPAN. It's so bland. I fell asleep and I woke up to Lawan Winningham making the catch of the year in the XFL. And I was so upset because I had to see a replay. Because Tom Hart was losing his mind up in the booth. Most excited I've ever seen him, and it was rightfully so. Amazing grab by 11 out there in blue. But it was a snooze fest otherwise. And, I thought maybe after that touchdown we had life. I trust that Renegades defense. They can do something here, right? Brahmas go out. They go 3 and out next 2 drives after that touchdown. Parker Romo for the Brahmas, by the way, has been automatic all season, but I didn't think field goals would win it because field goals didn't win it for San Antonio in week 1 when they squandered that 15-point lead against St. Louis. Kept kicking field goal after field goal. Couldn't get in the end zone. So I thought, okay, here we are with the Renegades. We're set. 9 minutes to go. We're driving. Down 3. 47-yard bomb from Drew Plitt to Javonte Payton. Great to see. Holy shit, we're at the 11-yard line now. Inside the red zone. Under 4 minutes. If Arlington scores here, they go up 3. First down, loss of yards. Second down, penalty. Replay it. Second down again, loss of yards. Third down, incompletion. Fourth down, we jog out Taylor Russolino, who just drilled a 53-yard field goal moments ago. He shanks it from 38. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Arlington Renegades. I went against everything I believed in. I ignored the principles of gambling I was taught by my elders, and I'm ashamed of it. You could play back clips of me griping about week 1. I saw it in person. Arlington blowing that 2.5 late. Here I go again. betting them -3. But listen, there was a guarantee, I think, at one point from me in this show that these teams would split these games. So I don't know what I was doing here, but they did end up splitting them. I'm just glad I didn't make this an official best bet. Again, it was not an official best bet. We just added it live. Does not hurt the record. Just hurts my bankroll. I can thank my one remaining brain cell for not putting Arlington in the best bets this week. Kyle Sloter is out. Fired. Cut. Gone. Luis Perez, in. They trade Ryan Mueller for him, who hasn't played a game this season. Don't want to get skeptical here, but does the league look at Brett Hundley in Vegas and do they say, okay, we're paying this guy a lot? He's not starting. It's because Luis Perez is out there. Luis Perez, better fit in Arlington, potentially. We know that the league is owned by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Danny Garcia, Redbird Capital, and they're managed all 8 teams under one roof in the XFL HQ. Obviously, anybody with any football mind would tell you Perez for Mueller straight up is not a trade. It's a trade you'd veto in your fantasy football league if you had the power to. So what is going on behind that, right? Doesn't really matter because Luis Perez is going to suit up for the Arlington Renegades. Don't know if he's going to start. Still got Drew Plitt and Kevin Anderson there, but Bob Stoops needs to send Marquette King out in the recruiting trail and get Cam Newton because neither of these 3 guys are going to save the Renegade season. The Brahmas have won without an offensive touchdown, and ABC got stuck with another stinker. I mean, we had week 1. It was a snooze fest for 58 minutes, right? These are the games you want. These are the highly rated ones, the chance where the league has to get above 1 million viewers because we're off of FX and ESPN and ESPN2. And they just can't get the right games. And I understand going into the season, the scheduling, you can't predict which teams are going to be good, which matchups are going to be good, and they have to have this preset. But I'd like to see a little more use of the flex, right? Let's flex these games. Like DC Houston should have absolutely been ABC. No question. Instead, if you like defensive football, you got to see a team who did not score on offense win the game, the San Antonio Brahmas, as Chris Zook said they did. He was a gut pick on San Antonio. They win, they split the series, and now they're 1 game out of the playoff race in the XFL South. And last but not least, who said Jordan Ta'amu couldn't spin that magic pill? Come on now, 245 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, only took 1 sack on the night. We talked to Liam Ryan about that offensive line not getting enough credit. Jordan Ta'amu. Jersey stayed clean. And if you were feeling lucky last night, you laid the points and watched number 11 show you exactly why his teammates, several of them, told us he was the fastest player on the offense. 5 catches, 136, and a score for LJ. My nephew Bennett was having a blast. He's got his autograph. Lucky Jackson, baby. The narrative for the 6-0 DC Defenders continues to be that balance. Zook said it to me before we watched the game. DC just too balanced, right? We told you they'd be the first team to go over 100 yards rushing on Houston. They did just that. I also said the Greg Williams defense would generate a takeaway in the form of a Santos Ramirez pick 6 that you just saw. It's not Audi Field, right? Without a pick 6 down the sideline, and it's just become tradition under the lights there. Santos Ramirez this time doing his best Michael Joseph impersonation. Good old Long John Brandon Silvers. Thought the calls were a little bit fishy last night. He did. I saw he posted a little subtweet at Dean Blandino the other day on his Twitter. It was something like, really enjoying the ride, especially the non-calls. And it was like a grid of 4 pictures. One of him getting like punched in the head, one of his face mask getting ripped up. So Brandon Silvers not happy with these calls, and it wasn't good for him that they are missing their left tackle. Greg Williams punished him for that. Davin Bellamy off the edge all night. Big 1-7, gets a big sack. And things started spiraling for Houston. Defensive lineman Jack Heflin was ejected for a nut tap. DC now leading the league in nut taps against. We saw this in week 1. Seattle with Daniel Joseph getting the boot for the ball bop. You can't have it. Listen, the officials are looking for below the belt, guys. I mean, they've made examples out of 2 different people now, especially inside of Audi Field. Can't have it. Also, you can't do what a Shane Harris did and spray the official with your water bottle, give him the old hose. The white hat coming over to tell Wade Phillips this is not the environment we want to be in after throwing an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in Ajane Harris's direction for squirting the down judge with a water bottle. Great clip, by the way. Check that out on Twitter. Felt bad for Wade. He was out there saying it was a bunch of baloney, and I kind of agreed. 12 penalties. And when things go wrong, the dominoes just kept falling. When it rains, it pours for Houston out there. Their guys could just not get out of that foul trouble. We saw the DC St. Louis brawl week 3. I know Zook would probably agree. DC kind of gets under your skin, right? They're poking the bear. They know that it's always the second guy that's going to get the flag. And if you don't think that's Greg Williams in there pregame saying, hey, chirp a little bit, a little jab here, a little twist there. This is Greg Williams football here, folks. But anyway, Francis Bernard was back like he never left. Remember, he was suspended for 2 games for that St. Louis fight. Didn't think that was justified. Thought he should have got 1. He was back, like I said. He was leading the team in tackles, had 2 for loss. Stepped right into that Mike linebacker role that he's usually in. Reggie Northrup was inactive. A lot of guys in the second level of the defense there stepping up for the heartbeat of that defender's defense, which is Reggie Northrup. And eventually Brandon Silvers was benched in favor of Cole McDonald. Listen, we sang it here before. Cole McDonald has an arm, and he showed it off. What a throw down the sideline. 8 of 11, 194. He had a 37 on the ground. He was really trying to lead that Houston comeback and prove his worth as a starter going forward. But in the words of JoJo, it was too little, too late. Because Matt McCrane drilled a 50-yard field goal right down center street. Probably would have been good from 80. And that was him redeeming himself for missing a easy 35-yarder earlier. So good for McCrane, playing well. The lead was 17 with under 6 to go. And again, this is where DC wants to be. They want to be up. They want to do that conservative, chew clock, pound the ball, wear you down type of deal. But what I did learn, which was a new thing, trying to take away things every game, right? Because it's not just winning, right? It's getting better, improving every week. What I learned from the DC defenders is that they can throw the ball. And if they are down in a spot like this, where it was, I think, 8-3, it was 8-0 for a while, Tamu can sling it around, and they can do these RPOs with the pass option and get these short yards. We saw Josh Hammond caught a couple of slants, right? These guys aren't afraid to go across the middle. Lucky Jackson, Chris Blair. Ethan Wolf was out there contributing. Ellis, shout out him, caught a touchdown. It's these receivers getting better week by week. And I did have a quick thought, though, on De'Aaron King. I thought, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Especially when you're going into this game 5-0. And DC with multiple attempts inside the red zone, and King was not part of that. We saw him on the field. He took a couple reps at QB, but he also was brought in as like a decoy. And Zook and I were talking about it. We noticed it. He said, yeah, they're going to bring him in as a decoy, run him around. They're going to be distracted on the Houston side of the defense. And then he's going to come in and bust off a big run. Well, it just never happened that way. And I think it's really because you got to utilize De'Aaron King in his package, right? This is his home. This is what he's built inside the red zone. I don't know what it was this week. If it was just, okay, we're going to go against what they know is coming. Because now you have 5 games on film of De'Aaron King running this package. So why run it again? Because Houston's going to be able to stop it. The Roughnecks defense, very good in short yardage situations. We saw them stuff San Antonio 4 times on the goal line to win that game. So De'Aaron King, not in the game in the times you thought he would be, and did not record too many stats in the box score. That'll be interesting going forward. To see whether De'Aaron will continue to be used in that package, if they're going to use him as like a running back receiver hybrid. We'll see, but it didn't matter because Jordan Ta'amu played an excellent game and he should be in the MVP conversation. Victory Tuesday here. That was DC and Houston. We did have a couple best bets. I touched on them here as we went through these. 8-4 for me, 4-2 for Zook. That's a season record. Remember, the record of Mikey Manziel in no way reflects the record of Springball Boulevard. I don't know, Zook. I think that's the same percentage off the top of my head.
Sure is.
66, right?
However, I believe in units I'm up a little bit more than you are.
So he unit shames me. And look at this. The very top of your screen, folks. If you're listening on podcast, it says fresh. There's that little dragon logo thing. And minus 9.5. I was confident enough to lay 9.5 with the Dragons, and I went wrong.
And you're crazy. I've been telling you since week 2 not to bet on Seattle. Don't do it.
I wanted the money line, but it was minus 880.
I'm just saying, you just don't
I'm right
do
here
it.
betting $800 to win 100.
They're not covering. They just don't do it.
It is 3 out of 5 that Seattle has not covered as a favorite. Better as a dog. We know that, but they're not a dog often. I never get them as a dog. And we'll look at our week 7 lines here in a second, but again, 4.5. They're favored. Friday Night Lights in Arlington. Just keep riding DC, I guess. 6-0 against the spread for the Defenders. They cover yet again. They were a short favorite at home. I think they're 9.5 against Orlando, so much bigger favorite.
I jumped on DC late, and I got a -3 and still won, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The money line was like minus 150 at close, but they just continue to be a wagon.
I wanted to roll some of that money I won.
Yeah.
So I jumped on them late.
Yeah, better than Arlington, which is what I added.
And I told you.
Yeah.
We had a long
We should have taken
conversation.
the under. I thought no value at 33, but man, with these two teams, we overthought it. Just go under every time. I mean, I don't care who's playing quarterback. It was just a nightmare offensively. I actually thought the opposite. I'm like, what if they score a bunch of defensive touchdowns? Well, they did score one. The problem is they only scored one on offense.
Right.
You had St. Louis -3, potentially the play of the year from a smarts perspective of good gambling.
I wish I would have put more units on it.
Yeah, just easy cover. Never a sweat.
That's a no-brainer.
Right.
100% no-brainer.
And when you look at cover margin, which we like to look at here on the Boulevard, I think Houston was 2.5 against Orlando week 1, which is wild to think about. And they won by 21, so 18-point cover margin. St. Louis -3, 29-6. They win it by, do the math for me, 23. So that's the higher cover margin that what Houston had in week 1. So that might be your best cover of the year. From a gambling perspective, they covered by 23.
And just to foreshadow a little bit, I've made a lot of money off of Houston and St. Louis this year, and now they're playing. So I don't know.
That's usually a stay away.
I think I'm just gonna hide on that one.
Yeah, that's usually a stay away, definitely. And then I don't know what to say about Mike. Falls to like 0-12 on the year. Should just took the money line.
What?
I mean, at least then you're losing with some dignity.
It's crazy because I'm saying it's a no-brainer -3 St. Louis, and Mike fades me.
Yeah, this is every week he's faded one of us, right?
He
goes against what we bet because he thinks that he's going to have a segment, right? And then he's going to be able to talk about it.
This is why he's getting a break on the rent.
He's an absolute mush. It's absolutely terrible. We are, 12-6 as a show. I think episode 1, I said what was my gambling record in 2020? Like 13-7 or something like that. So
I thought it was a little bit better than that.
Well, it probably was, but I'm trying to give us some credit here. So the unofficial record in 2020 may be topped this year. It's time for us to start rolling down the stretch here. We know way too much to be getting these wrong, and it's time for us to go. We got to put the foot on the gas here. We got week 7, huge card. We're going to get to week 7 lines. I'll actually gloss over them here pretty quick before we go into our power poll. Week 7 lines, Seattle, 4.5-point favorite at Arlington. That is a Friday night game. Lean Seattle there, but again, have not enjoyed laying points with them whatsoever this season. So I'd consider maybe a little bit of a money line and you tease it with something else. Las Vegas -3. They host San Antonio. That doesn't go with our power poll, I'll tell you that.
Stay far away from that.
Yeah, I don't have the guts. DC is a 9.5-point favorite at Orlando. One of our biggest spreads of the year. Still have not seen a double-digit spread. I assume this will close at double digits. Houston is -3 against St. Louis, which also disagrees with the power poll that we're about to show you. Totals, you're going to get 37.5 for Seattle Arlington, 38.5 for Vegas San Antonio. You got 44 in DC Orlando, and 43.5 for Houston St. Louis. Again, we have been staying away from the totals ever since they've been burning us. And now the fun part. We have a new power poll for the first time in 2 weeks. Remember, last week we didn't have it, and I'm glad we didn't. We had the Freshie Awards, which were to honor players mid-season in several categories. And I got to take a week off, and it was perfectly timed because I would not have a clue what to do with the power poll in week 5. Now things have made themselves a lot more clear. Nobody left for me to disagree with at number 1. I mean, this is not a debate anymore. St. Louis is a pretty clear second. Seattle and Houston is where I struggled a tad, right? And I think Houston would probably be the favorite if they played tomorrow, but you cannot put Houston above Seattle considering the head-to-head win. That matters. 5 and 6 is where it gets ugly. I looked at cover margin, and Arlington was a 3-point dog to San Antonio in week 5. They won by 2. So a 5-point cover margin there. San Antonio, flip it, 3-point favorite week 6. Or no, 3-point dog week 6, wins by 6, right? So 12-point cover margin. So that would tell you that San Antonio is the number 5 team in our power poll. Regardless, and I've done this before in the poll, of having a better record than Arlington, this is the better football team right now. Especially if they can start to get healthy, get some of these receivers back, get Kalen Ballage back, get Kurt Benkert in a rhythm, maybe Jawan Pass will look better. I continue to put Arlington at 6 because of the offense. And it's just, unless Baker Mayfield himself walks through that door to reunite with Bob Stoops, that's where they're staying. I don't know if they're going to win any of these games down the stretch. This is who the Renegades have the next 4 weeks. Seattle, DC, Orlando, Houston. Can you confidently tell me that they're going to go 2-2 there? No, they're going to go 1-3. I don't think this team can beat Seattle, DC, or Houston right now, and they only beat Orlando by 1 point in their first meeting, so they may struggle there. And even if you go 1 of 4 there, you end up 4 and 6. I don't think you're making the playoffs at 4 and 6. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Arlington, and then Vegas and Orlando pretty much mathematically eliminated from the playoffs at this point. Another show note, unfortunately, the Piper's parlay did not cash this week. I think we're 2 for 6 on those. Pretty solid for like a 3 or 4 leg parlay percentage wise. We were 2 for 3 again. Arlington. Piper went against and faded Zook this week. I have never seen it in my life.
I don't know what math you're doing, but 2 for 6 is 8 weeks.
Well, we're
2 for 4.
Well, we're 2 and 4,
Oh,
right?
2 and
So
4, right.
we'll give
I
you that.
gotcha.
2 for 6 on the parlays, however you want to look at it. We've won a couple, lost a couple. We're going to put one of those for you together. It's been bouncing between plus 300 and plus 900. You never know where Piper is going to land. She'll only give us our picks if we give her a treat, give her a belly rub, and let her outside because the warm weather is rolling into Studio Z finally, right? I don't have to go on the road to get it. So that is Springball Boulevard. Again, go check out our Mike Ryan interview. That was great over on the YouTube channel of the Levitard Show. Hope to have Mike on again, not Manziel, Mike Ryan. Mikey Manziel, we don't really care if he doesn't come on. Now, you'll be seeing some interesting things down the stretch from us. We're going to take Springball Boulevard to the next level because we believe that in the beginning of the season, there was a lot of hype around the league. Then we took a little lull for March Madness. You had the first weekend of the tournament, the second weekend, all kind of games. We had 8 TVs running here at Studio Z. We get it, right? March Madness is a big ticket item. Now we're coming out of that. We do have the Final Four, Saturday, Sunday. So maybe one more week of a little bit of a linger where college basketball takes precedent over the XFL. But coming down the stretch here, if you can market meaningful football games to football fans, they will watch. And week 8, 9, and 10 are going to be huge, and we're going to rise to that level, and Springball Boulevard is going to have some special stuff coming up. So remember, subscribe to that channel because there is no such thing as football season. For Chris Zook, I'm Matty Fresh. We will see you Thursday night. Take it easy, guys.